Hi ladies, I'm Rebecca, the founder of the Female Entrepreneurs Network, and welcome to the show. Here you're going to find badass human beings, creatives, adventurous people and massive action takers. If you need any more support or love, head over to the femaleentrepreneursnetwork.com to find everything that you could ever possibly need. Always remember to speak your truth, be who you are, because you are always enough. And there is someone out there who needs to hear your message today. Enjoy this episode, and if you love us, share us with your mates. I love you all, Rebecca. Welcome, Mira.
Thank you.
To the podcast, to the Female Entrepreneurs Network. I am so excited to welcome you in. So, Mira is a life coach and the founder of Ambitionista. But listen, I'm going to let you take over, Mira, and explain who you are and what you do and how you work with your clients.
Absolutely. It's such an honor to be partnering with you on the book project and just to see everything that you've built. And we're very aligned. I think we originally met, I can't even remember now, but I just remember we had like a connection really instantly, and it's just really exciting to be here. So I'm a life coach. I do a little bit of business mentorship, and I'm the founder of this online platform called Ambitionista. It is a Twitter chat, it's a Facebook group, it's an Instagram account, it's a podcast, and it will eventually be a book of its own. And my work focuses on supporting women in their 20s and 30s to find their passion, increase their confidence, develop their own businesses, build their personal brands, or sometimes just transition careers. Ultimately, what drives me is creating a world where more women are in positions of leadership, influence, and power. And I really believe that starts with women coming into their power personally so that they can go out and do the things they're meant to do in the world.
Yeah, I love it so much. I think we've been connected now for, I'm sure it's been over 12 months. It's definitely been over 12 months because my little girl's just turned a year and it was before she was born. That's the only way I can work it out.
Before and after the baby.
Yeah. But it's gone so fast, I can't believe it. So yeah, it was, and you were right, like we did really connect, didn't we, straight away? And I think it's because our missions are so aligned. And I think just on that note, it's really important to remember, like, we're so much stronger together, and like working together and collaborating with people, even when their vision looks the same as ours, like that's it's definitely a good thing.
It's beautiful. Collaboration over competition, 100%.
Every single time. Yeah. So I'm really excited then to learn more about where your journey actually began. Like, what would you say was the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey?
It was having success in corporate sales and marketing and realizing pretty early on that that was not what would make me happy in the long term. I was good at it, and I was successful, and I was getting promoted, and I was being invited to travel and train people twice my age. So the definition of an ambitionista, someone who's just blazing trails. But I hated the office politics. I hated having to ask for vacation time and the whole thing, not being able to implement my big ideas, having to go through all these hoops to get something done. So frustrating. And I just knew I was creative, and I knew I could do something bigger. And so that was the impetus. And then beyond that, I just started to look for opportunities. So I started in network marketing, and I think it's an incredible place to cut your teeth as an entrepreneur, to learn the personal development that's necessary to get connected to community and leadership, and to learn the sales and marketing side of it. So it was wonderful in those first couple of years to experiment there. And I've gone back and forth with that industry. I think there's a lot of potential there for someone who has the skill set and is willing to develop the skill set. Then I decided I wanted to look at a nightlife industry business because I was in my early 20s and I could see that there was money to be made in nightlife and entertainment. I started a nightlife production company. I was doing large scale dance parties and events, very highly themed. I was wearing all the hats, and it was such a great experience to learn how to manage people and how to deal with lots of personalities, and how to see a really big project from start to finish. And it was so satisfying. However, that also didn't feel like the thing. So I was like dipping my toe into all of these different areas, and none of them quite felt like the forever business. They just felt like something that I was using to learn from. And I think a lot of us do that in entrepreneurship. We we experiment until we find the thing that really lights us up in the big picture. So if I could say anything about my 20s, the theme was trying to find my passion and doing it experientially, just jumping in and trying things. I had gone back and forth with having a day job and not having a day job, and moonlighting and side hustling. And there came a point where I was living in a very gloomy climate in Portland, Oregon, much like the UK actually. And I was doing a lot of things. I was working in the nightlife as an event producer. I had become an exotic dancer. I was doing some bartending. I was doing some freelance graphic design. I was definitely the definition of hustle at that point. And I was starting to feel the like emotional pull of the gloomy climate. And I had noticed that I was in a bad relationship, and that was starting to turn really sour. And I wasn't actually happy with my career. It was fun, but it didn't feel like it had meaning. So that's kind of where the turning point is in the story. And I'll let you kind of take it from there.
Yeah. I know when it comes to like remembering my corporate days and having bosses, and I think for me, what came to mind then was the feeling of like when I noticed things that could have been done more in a more productive way or a more effective way, and not being able to implement that or even put across that it would even have an impact. I think that for me anyway was like the biggest thing. Like, I'm sick of having this cap on my head. I feel like I'm ready to grow further, and this avenue is not allowing me to do that. I think that was one of the biggest things for me. Like I know I can do more. I know I can give more. Why can't I do it So yeah. So interesting. So how old are you now?
37.
Okay. So yeah. Okay. I was just thinking whilst you were chatting, like, I'm still in my 20s. And I feel like I've just literally found my purpose as well. Like, and I'm not saying it's not going to change either. It's kind of a point where like it's ready to blow up, and it's so exciting, isn't it? Like all the different things that we've got going on and the projects. So you were in a corporate job. You decided that wasn't going well. You were ready for the next thing. You dipped your toes into lots of different things. Network marketing, I agree completely. Like, so many people and so many of my clients have worked in network marketing, and myself as well. So my previous business, the whole business model was based on the network marketing model and the direct selling model. It really works, doesn't it? And the personal development aspect of it.
It's essential. You have to grow yourself. Your business only grows to the extent that you do. And that was such a great place to learn that lesson.
Yeah. So on the kind of subject of personal development then, would you say that personal development has had an impact in the way that you've built your life and your business?
So much. So I'll kind of pick up where I left off on that story to kind of illustrate what I mean. So there was this convergence of forces in my life. I was doing work that was fun and entertaining, but it wasn't my purpose. I was in a really gloomy climate. I was in a pretty unhealthy relationship, and I had started to feel suicidally depressed, and I was numbing out with drugs and alcohol. And I really had reached a breaking point where I was debating which bridge I wanted to jump off of. And I knew something had to change in my life. And up to that point, like I said, I'd already been exposed to all of these amazing resources in personal development, but I feel like I had stopped. I had stopped growing. I had stopped exposing myself to those things. And I've noticed that even now, 37 years old, that if I'm not constantly reading a personal development book, or if I don't go to a seminar at least once a year and just like disconnect from everything and really immerse myself in that environment, if I don't stay connected to other powerful people or listen to good podcasts, it's like a muscle. You have to use it. You have to keep developing it.
Yeah, completely.
I got out of that slump through working with a therapist, through hiring life coaches, through going back to the motivational seminars and reading the good books again, and consciously choosing to cut out toxic people in my life and really reinvent and start over. And at that point I moved to a new city, and I just decided to draw a line in the sand and wipe it clean and start fresh. And it was in that conscious decision to really reinvest in my personal development that everything changed. And there was this probably won't even be in the chapter that I'm writing for the book, but there was this moment where I took this amazing weekend seminar I had no money. It was like the end of a really rough period for me. And I was trying to figure out how I was going to survive in this new city. And I was like, well, I mean, I'm going to hustle either way. I might as well go to the seminar and see if it can help to level me up. By the end of 2 days, one of the gentlemen that I had been paired up with a lot for the exercises that they were facilitating invited me to partner with him in the next level training. So like the one I went to was sort of a free workshop, and then they always have an upsell at seminars. And they were saying that it could be like a 2-for-1. And he's like, do you want to be my +1 in this program? Just hold me accountable and I'll cover your tuition. And like, those are those moments where like you're reminded that you're on the right path, and that's, you were in the right place at the right time. And so amazing. So personal development is everything. And when I start to notice myself slipping, I know that's exactly where I have to go.
That's so amazing. And like, I think sometimes like that experience sounds epic, like actually being invited as well. But it just made me think about this morning when I was making myself a cup of coffee and nothing specific happened, but just that feeling of, like this feels really familiar. Like I know I make a coffee every day, but do you know what I mean? Like, and everything starts to align and you're like, oh yeah, I'm doing the right thing. I'm following the right footsteps. And for me, like personal development is sitting down and writing in my journal every morning before I get up and start my day. And that really supports me to stay aligned. So back to your journey. So you went through like this stage in your life where you kind of, I suppose, would you say you hit rock bottom? Like, I don't know if I like them terms.
Absolutely.
But
I really was contemplating why I should be on the planet any longer. And logically, I know that I'm beautiful and young and talented and inspiring and positive and uplifting. And like, I know I have all these qualities, but I was in such a dark place. And I think we don't talk enough about mental health. I think I may be predisposed to depression if I'm not doing the right things to take good care of myself. So I had fallen off of the things that I know I need. If I were to give myself a metaphor here, if I'm a certain type of plant and I need a certain type of sunlight and a certain type of water and the right nutrients, I wasn't taking care of the plant, and the plant was starting to die. I really think that's kind of how it was. So I learned that I need to be in a sunny climate. So I moved to Los Angeles, California. I knew that I needed to be around more healthy, uplifting, positive people and let go of that toxicity. I knew that I was in the wrong industry and I was in the wrong relationship. So I just decided to feed myself what I actually needed. And that was what changed.
Yeah, how incredible. So you're obviously now a life coach and the founder of the Ambitionista, but what was it like? Was that event, is that what like led into that, or was this something?
Like how did that happen? So when I got to California, I had already had an inkling that I was interested in becoming a life coach, but for many years. Just
step back again. So we're at this event, you go, like you decide to partner up with this guy. Is that when you moved to California?
I was already in California when that
happened.
Okay,
got you.
Yeah, that was one of the first things I did when I moved here.
Okay.
I was just hustling, trying to figure out how to afford the city, because it's a very expensive city. And I didn't really have a plan. I just knew I needed to be here. I was following my intuition. And I went to the seminar, and he gifted me $14,000 in education.
So amazing.
And those 2 years of courses that I took alongside him became a huge catalyst for me stepping up and believing in myself. And I thought I actually had wanted to become a life coach for a long time, but I didn't believe in myself. And I thought, my life is a mess. Like, who am I to be a coach? I need to clean up my own mess first. So I was really in those 2 years of reinventing and starting fresh and making more conscious choices and doing what I know I need to do to take care of myself, that I went ahead and got my certification for coaching, and I did a bunch of leadership development training, and I started to build my brand. And Ambitionista was the spark around that time that I actually discovered it. I just saw someone randomly use the hashtag on Twitter, and it wasn't attached to a business or an initiative of any kind. Someone had just, so, you get creative sometimes and you make a hashtag out of nothing. Someone had just made a hashtag out of nothing, and they'd used it a couple of times, but there was nothing else attached to it. And I was like, that's it. That's what I'm meant to build. I'm going to build it. So I trademarked it, and it's just grown from there.
That's amazing. So So growing from there, let's elaborate on this growing from there, because a lot of our audience are either they already have businesses and they're ready to take them to the next level. So they might be offline and they're taking them online, or they might be completely new businesses, or they've been in business for some time, but it's just not been working for them. So let's kind of dig in deep then into the business side of things. So what would you say is like been the biggest lesson from that? So you found the hashtag. What kind of happened next? Like what were the
From there, so I had found that I just really enjoyed Twitter the best of all the platforms. This was back in 2012 or 13. And a lot of people misunderstand this platform. It's such an incredible networking tool.
I think so too.
And
me included.
Yeah. And I had been attending Twitter chats, which are just live networking parties on Twitter where everyone synchronizes their watches and they all sign in at the same time. And a moderator will create a theme and a series of questions and everyone will just talk at the same time. And I'd been attending them for a while and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to start one. And I'm just one of those people that just has an idea and sparks and I just jump in and do it and learn as I go.
Yeah, me too. I love it.
Yeah, I can see that about you. So I launched this Twitter chat and it's been going now for 5 or 6 years strong. I can't even keep track of what year that was anymore, but it's been a very long time. It's weekly, it's grown and evolved. Now the current format is every Monday. It's probably very late UK time. It's like 8 p.m. Eastern time. So it may not work for everyone who wants to join, but for those of you that are in the right time zone, join us on a Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific time. And I bring on 3 influencers kind of as panelists. And we talk about a topic that's relevant to young, ambitious women. So it could be about goal setting. It could be about confidence. It could be about the spiritual side of success, or it could be at self-sabotage, or it could be a marketing topic. It could be anything. But that's really how I started to build my audience, and people really enjoyed it and kept coming back. And then I realized they wanted to connect outside of Twitter. They wanted a place where they could talk anytime and not just on Monday nights. So then it evolved into a Facebook group. And then I realized that a lot of my audience is on Instagram because millennials. So then it developed into an Instagram account. And now it's also evolved into a podcast and will soon be a book as well. So it's just evolved. And in the big picture, I see retreats as well.
How exciting. Oh my God, that's so amazing. When do you think you'll host your first retreat?
Oh, goodness. I can't decide if I want to do the book or the retreat first. I'm kind of leaning toward maybe a practice retreat or 2 and then launch the book and then like take it much bigger sometime in the next 12, 24 months.
How exciting.
Right now I'm just practicing with little local events and workshops and doing a lot of market research.
Yeah, it's so key, isn't it? Market research. I think people get an idea and love their idea so much they just dive into creating and then it doesn't sell. But the market research is just so key. Like,
so important.
I mean,
you don't want to try to sell something that no one wants.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so wow, it started as a Twitter chat. How incredible is that? Like, I admit I completely misunderstand the Twitter platform as well. It's not something that I'm active on personally. I think we have a lot going on Facebook and in the Facebook groups. That tends to be like our main channels. But it's amazing to hear how like it evolves, and you've just kind of gone with that evolution, and it's kind of it's evolved into an entity in itself.
Uh-oh, we're breaking up. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, are you there?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think we're back now. Are you still there?
Did you say evolution?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. So the business has just evolved into something, into its own entity, hasn't it? Like, it's incredible. What would you say?
And it's so funny. I wanted to share one more thing. When I first launched my coaching practice, I thought it was going to be called something else. And when Ambitionista hit me, I just rebranded within the first 3 to 6 months. And so for anyone watching who's launching a business or changed your mind, I just wanted to validate that it's totally okay to change your mind and to find the thing that actually resonates with you. You don't have to stay with the first thing that you create.
Yeah, so much. I think I've changed my business name twice. Yeah, so much. Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time I felt like I had a decision to make because of that, but it is just evolution, isn't it? And just going with what feels right and going with the gut feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, trust what your market is telling you, what they're asking for, what they need, um, even if it scares you. Because sometimes you'll get messages that are like, do retreats. And I felt so uncomfortable. It feels like such a risky decision to make. It could go really wrong. But I'm just trusting that that's what I'm supposed to do next.
Yeah, does it feel expansive?
Yes. Yeah, it seems like a high ticket item, so it's harder to sell, or it feels hard to sell. And it feels like if you don't get if you don't get your numbers right with the cost of the venue and the cost of the accommodations and the food, and you could end up losing money if you don't find that perfect balance. So that, yeah, just getting that stuff right feels uncomfortable at this stage.
You'll have to keep us updated and let us know
Yeah.
when you do your retreat, definitely. Yeah. So in terms of your business then, what would you say has been like the biggest challenge that you've faced so far?
Hmm. This actually gets into something really personal and really, really shame inducing. And I'm going to talk about it anyway, because I think we all need to talk about the hard things.
Yeah,
What's
definitely.
come up for me is that I was raised in a working class family and we never had enough money. And I'm starting to realize how much the messages that I absorbed and the mindsets and the lack of skill around dealing with money has impacted my business, and how I have a tendency to not charge as much as I could, or to believe that people can't afford things when there really is a market for almost anything you have to put out there. Just really tackling a lot of limiting beliefs and a lot of um, unhelpful patterns around money, all the way to the point that I found a 12-step group. If you've ever heard of a 12-step group for alcohol, there are groups that you can go to get support around almost any issue. And I found one specifically for people that have money issues. And it's been such a huge help. And so that is the growing edge of my business right now, is getting all of that sorted out, so that no matter how much money I make, if I don't, I won't keep it. So I've got it.
Mm.
Yeah, get that foundation together.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Have you done any like stuff about beliefs and any like NLP stuff in your coaching?
NLP has definitely been on my radar lately. I noticed that you're doing it, and I've been super curious about getting certified, because it feels like it would not only help me, of course, but it would also really help my clients. And I've experienced it in the seminars and I sort of understand what it is, but I would love to be able to facilitate that as a
Yeah.
skill.
Oh, it's incredible. So I've been supporting training NLP practitioners for the last 3 years, and
Mm-hmm.
money is something that always comes up, because what happens is um, some of the practitioners that I've supported have come like they've been sent from their jobs, so the
Mm-hmm.
jobs have paid for them to come on the training, so they've not necessarily come to the training to then become coaches, right?
Yeah.
Because they've done the training as an NLP coach practitioner, they've then come to the end of it and they've been like, wow, this is what I want to do. Like, I just want to do this. And then it's come to the money thing and the beliefs around how much to charge, and how much money they want to make. And not only that, but covering the money that they've been making in their wage from their job into their business.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some really powerful techniques, really quick ones as well, that you can use with NLP. I highly recommend it. Like I said,
Amazing.
I
Amazing.
train NLP practitioners, so
I will be following your work closely as you develop. And it sounds like you've been doing that for a while, actually.
yeah. I kind of took a step back of it whilst I had my little girl, and didn't really talk about it too much. So a couple of people have been like sending me messages recently, but yeah, I've been doing it for the last 3 years. That's what propelled me into this business.
Amazing.
Yeah, okay, so I love that you brought that up, because that's so common. It's such a common thing with our listeners and with our community. So would you say that there are like a few key things that you've done that have really supported you with, would you say it's money mindset or money management, or both?
I don't know if it could be one or the other, honestly. I think it is both. It's some of it is limiting beliefs and worthiness issues that are really, really like vulnerable and shame inducing. And then it's just not having the actual tangible skill of managing money, or having it not be my zone of genius. So some people are very good with details and numbers and spreadsheets, and some people not so much. And I'm on the latter category. So it's both, really. And being a part of this particular 12-step group, so most people have heard of Alcoholics Anonymous. This one's called Debtors Anonymous, has been huge. And I don't even have that much debt, but the tools of the program have been really great. And having a sponsor and an accountability partner and a group to meet up with on a regular basis to go over my numbers and like learn the skills together has been really huge. And what you don't think, what surprised me the most was that it's a spiritual program. So in essence, what they're saying is that if you believe that you are your own higher power, and if you try to will your way through life, you will struggle. And if you believe that like your conscious mind always knows what's right, that's probably actually not true. But if you start to really trust your intuition and develop a relationship with your higher self, or your concept of God or whatever that is, and know that you are held and that you are guided, and trust in the messages that you get, and don't feel like you need to override that with your logic, that things start to flow much more easily. And so I'm learning how to get into flow and the practices that are necessary to really maintain a spiritual practice. And I've been really resistant to that most of my life, primarily because I'm an LGBT person. I'm a lesbian, and religion has always been quite harsh toward people like me. And I've been really distancing myself from religion, and I'm finding a new way of experiencing it.
So yeah, and it's so key, isn't it? I think I had a similar sort of experience where I always felt like I was kind of spiritual, but I never was like, I'm neither here nor there. I just believe whatever is, and that's what I used to go with. Mm-hmm. And then I was called to train in Reiki, didn't realize how spiritual Reiki is, and then felt like I'd been like, I just didn't know what to expect. I mean, now I know that it was completely to support me to step into that. But through the attunement, have you done any Reiki or trained in Reiki?
I've experienced it as a recipient, and it's powerful, and I've heard such amazing things.
Yeah, so I didn't do it for my business, I did it for me personally. But when we got attuned, we were literally guided to meet our guides and call upon our guides and call upon our higher power. And I was like, I didn't know that was going to happen until I was in this meditation.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's also been on my radar. Just anything that you can do to get in touch with the guidance. Like I really believe we all have guidance, but we're not necessarily taught how to hear it and what it sounds like. And the fact that it will not always be comfortable, but to trust it. So you obviously were guided to experience Reiki, and you trusted that. And then the journey just kept unfolding.
Yeah, completely. So yeah, it's so key, isn't it, to like trust. I can feel the trust in my gut as I'm saying it.
Yeah, exactly. I hope the listener takes that away, that no matter what, like if you take nothing else from this interview, that if you're getting an intuitive nudge, trust it.
Just trust. Yeah, don't try and like question or make it into logic. Yeah. Okay, so when it comes to business then, I'm trying to pull this back around to the business side of things. What would you say is your like most key resource, like your go-to resource, something that you use a lot of?
I think because coaching specifically is such a personalized experience, and it is so trust-based and it's so intimate, that it helps me to know who I've got on my hands when I meet a new client. So I use the Myers-Briggs personality test a lot. And for anyone who hasn't stumbled upon that, there's a great test at 16personalities.com where you can take it for free.
It's really good.
But it really helps me understand, do I have an introvert or an extrovert on my hands? And how can I use that information to better coach my client? Is this person more of a big picture thinker or a detail person? Are they possibilities or are they more cautious? Are they logic people or are they feeling people? Are they structured or are they go with the flow? And all of those factors really play into what kind of work they're meant to do, what type of strategies are going to support them or frustrate them. And then I also use Gretchen Roop. I can't think of her last name right now. She wrote the book, The Happiness Project. And she also has been developing a lot of tools around understanding how people are motivated. And because a lot of my work is really just about pushing people outside of their comfort zone and getting them to move further than they would on their own, her 4 tendencies test has been really insightful. And basically it measures how you show up for inner expectations and how you show up for external expectations. And some people are just really excellent at creating new habits and following through with what they say they'll do. And other people completely resist new habits and completely resist structure and follow through. So that's also been a huge help in supporting my clients.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And I find the 16 personality is really good for like how to communicate as well to people. Like, so when you know, like, whether they're like big picture or smaller details, whether to talk to them in a way that they can engage with better. Otherwise, it's so easy to lose people, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's so powerful. So what would you say then is your best business book, your favorite book that you read? Or just
gosh, there's so many.
Yeah, right.
In my network marketing days, I stumbled upon Jack Canfield, The Success Principles. And I feel like it's such a great Bible. It's like step by step for all the things that you should do from day one to the end of your success journey. But the beginning is taking full responsibility for your life and not being a victim to your circumstances. And I think that's really important. Of course, bad things happen to all of us. And of course, we all come into this world with different circumstances and family environments and all of that. But I really love that the beginning of the journey, according to Jack Canfield's work, is taking full responsibility for your life. And then from that place of power, you can make all the rest of the changes that are ahead of you. Trying to think if there's another one. I feel like it's so interesting. I don't believe your business and your life are two separate things. I think they're so intertwined. So when I think of a business book, I usually actually think of a personal development book, not like a strategy book necessarily. And I've gotten a lot lately out of Jen Sincero's books, the You Are a Badass and You Are a Badass at Making Money. And I've really appreciated authors that have a conversational, kind of a reverent style where it feels like you're talking to a friend.
Yeah,
so I recommend
definitely.
those as well.
Yeah, it makes it so much easier to read, doesn't it? Like the amount of times I've tried to sit down with what's that one called? It was literally on the tip of my tongue a second ago.
Think and Grow Rich.
How did you know?
I don't know, because it's hard to read. It's also very old.
Yeah, Think and Grow Rich, and I just saw it as well when you said it. Yeah, the amount of times I've sat down to try and read it, and they say, don't they, you're supposed to read it like 11 times, and I can't even get through it once. So yeah, it's really conversational. So I always take that into considerations when I'm writing my books and in our book, our co-author book, which I'm so excited about. So is there anything that I've not asked you that you want to add or share with our listeners today?
Well, assuming that you, the listener, are an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, I'll just pass on one of the biggest lessons that I've learned over the years, and that is that this journey you're on, entrepreneurship, is one of the biggest catalysts for personal growth that you could ever go on, perhaps besides parenting. And you can't do it alone. You have to be willing to receive and ask for support. And I believed I could do it alone. I was so independent and believed that like I didn't need anyone. And I've learned and crashed and burned the hard way that I have to receive support. I have to ask for support. I have to be willing to create support structures in my life. And because you don't have a boss and you don't have coworkers, you get to create those systems and those structures and those people and those support systems. So having a mastermind group is actually something that I learned from Think and Grow Rich. Has been huge. So of course I hire my own coaches, and I also like to always have a small, intimate mastermind group of other people that are at the level that I want to be at, or they're very close to my level, and we're all shooting for very similar goals. So if you do anything as a follow-up to this interview, really look into that concept and learn how it's done.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like having entrepreneurial friends who are on that same journey, like it's priceless, isn't it? Like I voice note my friends every single day. But if I didn't have that, like I would go insane.
Yeah, and 80% of the population or more will never understand because they're just not wired the way we are, and they're perfectly happy with their job and their benefits, and we're not that. And we have to have support.
Yeah. Okay, if there was one thing that you could leave with our listeners, what would it be?
Oh gosh, I thought I just gave it to you. Let me see. Is there more? I mean, we've got a couple here. Trust your intuition, ask for and receive support, be willing to receive support. I'll go with this. Remember that who you are, whatever makes you unique and different, in whatever way that you stand out from the crowd, be willing to show the world that part of you, because that is your superpower and that's what makes you different from every other person that does what you do. And you will attract the lovers and repel the haters by being exactly who you are and not feeling like you have to hide that part of yourself that maybe you have a little bit of shame about. Like, work through the shame around that, because someone needs your message and someone needs to hear specifically from your perspective. And that will attract the people that you're meant to work with.
Yeah, thank you so much for being with us today. It's been so incredible and so great to catch up with you.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Don't forget to always speak your truth and be who you are, because there is someone out there today who needs to hear your message. And if you need anything from us at all, head over to thefemaleentrepreneursnetwork.com and check us out. You'll find everything you could possibly need over there. Have an amazing day, and I'll catch you on the next episode.